Endurance Junkie Podcast, episode 82. Hey Junkies, what's up? Thanks for joining me on a new episode of the Endurance Junkie Podcast, the show where I will be interviewing some of the fastest, smartest, and most inspiring people active in the endurance world today. Now, if you like these little interviews and don't want to miss any future episodes, head over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe to the show. And while you're there, you can also help me out with a rating and a review. Besides tweeting, retweeting, or sharing on Facebook, which you're always allowed to do, having good ratings and reviews will also help new listeners to find us in the different podcast directories. So it's really important, and I appreciate everyone who has done so far. Alright, Ashleigh is an Australian triathlete who is currently ranked second on the 2017 ITU World Triathlon Series ranking. Ashleigh started triathlon at the age of 14 and quickly ditched the team sports she was also doing to focus on swimming, cycling, and running. She made her first Junior World Championship squad at the age of 16 and hasn't stopped improving since. Today, she's a regular on the Triathlon World Series podiums and has her sights set on Commonwealth Gold in 2018. Fueled by a subpar performance at the 2016 Rio Olympics, Ashleigh will no doubt be a contender for a medal at the Tokyo 2020 Games. Hi Ashleigh, thanks for coming on the show today. Now you just got back from the Bahamas. How was Island House Triathlon?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on the podcast. And yeah, Island House was amazing. I've never been to the Bahamas before, so yeah, it was pretty much the most epic way to finish the year. So I was really happy to be there.
Yeah, you got a solid fifth place finish there, I think. Pretty intense racing.
Yeah, it was. The field was definitely world class this year, without a doubt, and I struggled a little bit, especially the first day, to be honest. I didn't really know how I was going to go. Coming back from Rotterdam, I guess I struggled a little bit at the start with motivation and kind of getting back into it. But, I then had a couple of races, Nepean and Noosa, and, racing's always good because, you've got a goal and you can get motivated. So, yeah, I was happy to do those races at home and just tried to hang on, to be honest, for those last couple of weeks before Island House. But, it was amazing. It was definitely just as hard as everyone's always said. But, yeah, hopefully I get invited back to next year to give it a crack again.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, now just backtrack a bit for the people that might not know you. Can you start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your sporting background growing up in Australia and how you ended up in triathlon?
So basically, for me, I started triathlon when I was 14 years old. But before that, I was doing touch football, netball, athletics, cross country, a lot of sports through school. And I guess I always had a real love for running, made some national teams for cross country and 3K and 1500 on the track. So, always enjoyed that. And I guess I started running with a triathlon coach, and at the start I was just running, but then, everyone else was swimming and cycling. So I eventually started doing that as well. Did my first triathlon when I was 14 and really loved it. So, I kept the team sports in there for a while, netball and touch football. But when I, started training a little bit more for triathlon and kind of started to really enjoy it, I ditched the netball first, and then not long after, touch football got the flick because triathlon was something I wanted to do. And I guess made my first junior world team in 2007 when I was 16. So I was off to Hamburg for my first junior worlds, which was pretty much the best possible place to to race, especially a first international race. So yeah, that's how I got into it, and yeah, went through my junior years until now, 10 or so years later, here I am.
Yeah, so you were pretty competitive pretty early on then.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess in Australia, it's quite typical to play lots of sports when you're really young. I guess lots of people probably start swimming a lot earlier than I did. It's kind of normal for Aussies, but it's also, doing lots of sport through school. The athletics, cross country, and all team sports is quite usual. So yeah, I've been really active since a really early age, and I didn't really expect that I'd end up doing it as a profession, to be honest. But I'm pretty glad that it's worked out that way, because yeah, I've really grown to love this sport more and more, and pretty lucky to do what I do.
Yeah, you really touched on that subject there about you guys doing a lot of sports when growing up, and it is really impressive how a nation like Australia, which got like 22 million people maybe, can be such a dominant country when it comes to sports. I mean, in swimming and in triathlon and all other types. Is it just because you guys do a lot of sports in school, or is it like heavily funded as well by government and by sporting instances?
I guess, yeah, we just do it from a pretty young age, and I guess we've always been pretty competitive on the swimming scene because, we're the world's biggest island, so it's pretty imperative to know how to swim. Just a lot of people are surrounded by ocean, so I guess from a safety point of view, really, everyone kind of teaches their kids to swim from a young age. Not necessarily putting them in a competitive environment, but putting them in an environment to learn how to swim, and then obviously lots of people keep pursuing that. But same in, I guess, running and team sports. It's just with the climate that we have here, especially in southeast Queensland, the weather's really good pretty much all year round. So being outdoors and being active is just part of our lifestyle, and whether it's kind of funded well or not really depends on the sport and I guess the period of time that you're talking. But obviously having the Olympic Games here in Sydney in 2000, I'd say is a pretty huge thing for Australia, and obviously major games before that and after that as well kind of helps expose people to competitive sports, and that's a really good thing, I think.
Okay. Can you talk a bit about your progression then in triathlon? Yeah, you did your first World Juniors at age 16. Oh, no, in 2000. No, at age 16, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how'd you go from there? And then when did you realize, I can be really good at this and I can even make a living out of it?
Yeah, I guess all throughout my junior years, I didn't really think I could, or didn't really think of it as a profession. I got 2 silver medals. So my first one in Hamburg and then my second one in Vancouver in 2008. So I had 2 junior world medals, silver medals, and then had a bit of a rough year in 2009. I just finished school and I didn't actually even make the junior team. But then in 2010, I was able to make the team again, and that's the year I won the Junior World Championship. So, I had a really great time during those years, I guess. I grew up a lot, like between 16 and 19, and I learned a lot, and it was just a period of time where I kind of look back with quite a lot of fond memories. It was always really great racing a lot of the domestic races here in Australia, and then having that international exposure at such a young age was obviously pretty incredible for me. It was just amazing to be able to travel to some pretty cool countries and see what it's all about. And I guess it probably wasn't until I was 19 at my last Junior Worlds and winning that championship, I actually thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. And obviously, you see the under-23s race. I was able to see Emma Moffat win the overall World Series circuit, for the first time. That was introduced in 2010, and obviously Emma Snowsill won the day just outright. So obviously having those people there too to look up to was pretty incredible, and obviously inspired me to try and get there as well.
Yeah. And what did it take to actually make that switch then from juniors to elite, and make it to the top of the elite level as well?
I guess it's something which some people do seemingly very easily, but I don't feel as though it was that easy for me. Obviously going from sprint distance to Olympic distance at a fairly young age is a pretty big thing, especially when you're trying to step up into World Cups and World Series racing. I had a really good experience for my first World Series race. I think it was London. It was the London Olympic test event, actually. I think I got 9th there. So that was a really great experience, but it was tough racing. It was, a bit of a shock to the system where, well, I probably knew that it was going to be really hard, but getting that exposure was really great because I knew that the level of World Series racing was extremely high, and before that, even just getting into World Cups, like I went through so many highs and lows to get there, just trying to obviously train enough and manage my body well to be able to endure a 2-hour event rather than just the 1-hour event. So I guess it was a mix of physically and mentally preparing myself to double the distance, but then also having to compete against some incredible athletes, people that have been doing it for a really long time. So yeah, it wasn't easy, that's for sure. But once I got started in the World Series circuit, I definitely got, I improved and really enjoyed, being around those athletes and just trying to, progress as an athlete.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and successfully, because you had a lot of wins on the circuit, and you also qualified for the Rio Olympics. How was that, being an Olympic athlete? Was that something special?
Yeah, it was definitely. It was something which I obviously really wanted to achieve, and to call myself Olympian is obviously I'm really proud to do that, but to be honest, I wanted to be able to go to an Olympics and call myself an Olympian, but also be competitive. And I was not competitive in Rio. And I guess, I walked away really disappointed. I wasn't in it from the gun, and it was just, I guess, really hard to get through that. And I knew I had no chance realistically, even just halfway through the bike, that unless something incredibly crazy happened, it was not happening. And it was obviously an amazing experience and something which I'll be incredibly grateful for, but definitely was pretty deflated after the result.
Yeah, were you able to pinpoint what the problem was?
Not really, to be honest. I personally felt terrible. It just was really hard. Like even the morning of the race, I could hardly stomach breakfast. I don't know, it was just nerves or what it was. It was all really overwhelming. And I guess when people used to tell me that, you don't really know what the Olympics is like until you go, it's true. It's something else. And I think that if I was to make the team in Tokyo in 2020, I would make sure I was just so more prepared, even just mentally, being able to cope with everything that's going around you in such a high pressure environment. So, even though I was disappointed with the result, I think what I learned is just invaluable. And if I was to get the opportunity again, I think that I will be much better prepared because of what I experienced in Rio.
Yeah. You also switched coaches after Rio, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So what made you make that decision, and how has that move been so far?
Yeah, I guess. Well, it was just something which I kind of thought. Obviously, um, I'm really grateful to the help of all my coaches throughout the years, even from juniors. But I guess at a point in time, you just have to make change. And after Rio, I just knew that I had to do something different if I was to get to where I wanted to be. And I'd seen, obviously, Jamie Turner had just coached the gold medalist Gwen Jorgensen to in Rio. So, and obviously he was training some Australians as well, part of the Triathlon Australia program at times. So I just knew that I had to do something different, and I spoke to him at the end of 2016 and just let him know what I was thinking, and asked him if he was willing to coach me. And I went down there for a trial at the start of this year in January. So just had a few weeks there. And my mind was pretty much made up, even just at the trial. He wanted me to go home back to Queensland to make my decision, which I did. But I already knew that it was something I wanted to do. I had a really good time with the squad and with him in the trial in January. So yeah, I pretty much just packed my bags and went back down into Wollongong, this is, in New South Wales in February this year. And yeah, trained up for my first race at Mooloolaba World Cup this year, and then the Commonwealth Games qualifier trial, which was Gold Coast World Series in April. And yeah, it's kind of been a whirlwind because it's this year's felt like it's gone so fast, but it's been going really well, and I've been really loving it.
Yeah. So what has been different than this year than compared to the last couple of years?
I guess for me, a major difference is obviously training with a squad, basically all year long. A lot of my training done was obviously via correspondence before that, and it's been a while since I've had a squad environment. So obviously being with people just with, I guess, like-minded goals was really great, and I had people there every day to push me and just to, I guess, to suffer with. So and Jamie's coaching, I guess, he's definitely a very intelligent person, and you can just tell the thought behind what he does. We have long-term goals, but as we go from each World Series race to the next, it's been really, really great this year to feel as though I've really prepared well for the demands of each race. And so both physically and mentally, I've worked on a few different things, and obviously learning new things all the time in this new environment. And it's also, I guess, made me love the sport all over again with all these new stimulus. So it's been a really good year.
Yeah, okay. So you're traveling between Wollongong and Brisbane then?
Yeah, so home is still on the Gold Coast here in Queensland. Yeah, so I've been here since, I guess, Rotterdam World Championships 2 months ago. With that, then training, obviously, and travelling for Noosa and then Island House. But, yeah, it's been good to spend some time in Queensland. This year has been a lot of travel, obviously based in Wollongong after I decided to move to Jamie's and the squad. But then 4 months in Spain. So, yeah, lots of time at different places. And I feel as though I've definitely been living out of a suitcase for a while. But I guess it's the decision I made, and any time at home is, I guess, much more appreciated now.
Yeah, because you're in a relationship with Josh Amberger, who's making a name for himself on the long distance scene, with several wins on the 70.3 circuit, and recently a very solid performance in Kona. How does that work when you guys are traveling so much?
Yeah, we get this question a lot, I guess. People think we're crazy and don't really understand how we make it work, but we've been together for a long time now, and we both obviously are triathletes and have goals in the sport of triathlon. And sometimes it's difficult because obviously myself doing ITU and him doing long course, we aren't necessarily in the same place at the same time. And he's got a new squad in Brisbane, so even when we're both in Australia at home, I guess we're not with each other 24/7, but we've made it work this year. He was in some camps with me, one in Canberra for just 10 days, and then spent a month or so, 4.5 weeks before Hamburg World Series in Spain. So, and then when we both got home, I spent a bit more time in Brisbane being with him. So we kind of make it work. And, thankfully in this day and age, there's plenty of ways to communicate with Skype and Messenger and stuff. So, it's easy when, we're both good communicators and we respect each other's goals in triathlon and know we have plenty more years to, I guess, get sick of each other when we're living together full time.
I guess you definitely have to make some sacrifices to live the life that you do. What keeps you motivated to keep making these sacrifices?
I guess, we both love the sport of triathlon, and he's very ambitious and has some goals in 70.3, but now Ironman, and obviously doing his first Kona. And for me, I'm really committed to being in the environment I'm in until Tokyo 2020. So, when you've got goals like that, and you can see what other athletes have done to reach their full potential, we just know that it's what we have to do. So it does make it easier, because if we know that we're both happy, striving to do our thing and trying to reach those goals, we can support each other. And it's sometimes hard when we can't be there, I guess, physically for each other, and have each other there as, I guess, company at certain training camps. And we get good at working out what time zones and time change, but we can always talk to each other. And I know that he's always supporting me, even if he's not there physically, and vice versa.
Okay, well, good luck for that, and it's a short-term thing, so in a couple of years, no doubt it'll be easier for you guys. You also recently got a record 5th title at the Noosa Triathlon. What makes that race so special for you and for all Australians, because it's a massive event?
Yeah, it's a huge event. I think this year there was just over 8,000 age groupers that participated in the weekend. So it's huge in Australia. And I think it's because it's so inclusive. It's not just a triathlon. It's 1,000 meter ocean swim. There's a crit, men's and women's. There's a 5K bolt. There's charity runs, golf day. It's just a pretty incredible weekend of activity. So it's a race which I've done, I think, maybe 7 times now. And obviously it's a race where it's been pretty special to me. I love my home state, Queensland, and it's a big event for us here. So I've always loved going there, and the atmosphere is just incredible. There's so many people there, and it's so well supported. And it's just one which I really look forward to each year. And this year, getting the 5th title was, I didn't. Every Noosa, I question myself whether I can get the win. It's always difficult at that time of the year to try and get up and race hard, but it was pretty special this year.
Okay. So what are your goals for 2018? You've just been named in the squad for the Commonwealth Games, so I think that's going to be a big priority.
Yeah, it's a massive priority. I was pretty lucky to find out, to qualify for the Com Games this year at the trial event in April. So I feel as though it was great to, I guess, know for so long, and I could enjoy the season and race whatever races I wanted to. And I think that, now it's really important for me to have a little bit of a rest. It's been a huge year for me with travel and probably doing more races than I have the previous years. So right now for me, priority is to just chill out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, next year, main goal is Commonwealth Games, and then we'll see how the World Series pans out. But I might end up, missing a couple more just because I need to make sure I'm ready to go in April.
Yeah, you got a plan already to beat Flora?
Oh, not yet. She'll be a hard one to beat, that's for sure. But I'll definitely be going in there, giving it my best and making sure that I believe that I can win, because I guess that's, the first part. I've got to make sure that, I believe in myself that I can do it, and then I'll be training as harder than I ever have before to make sure that I can really be competitive and get one of those medals.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because Commonwealth Games, within the Commonwealth, it's about as important as the Olympics.
Yeah, it's massive, and with triathlon, obviously there's in each sport there's some countries missing out of the Commonwealth nations, and obviously for triathlon, I guess America is a big one, but there's just so many really competitive countries that are Commonwealth nations, so it's always a really great event. And yeah, it's also in my hometown on the Gold Coast, so that makes it kind of even more special. Athletes go their whole careers without being able to, represent their country at a big games or even a world championship. So I'm pretty excited that I'm in the team and I get to race at such a huge event on my home turf.
Yeah, it'll be cool, no doubt. What are your thoughts on Gwen Jorgensen's move away from triathlon and into marathon running?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really know what she was going to do next year, but when obviously I heard about the announcement, I was excited for her. Obviously, she achieved the highest achievement that you can have in triathlon, a gold medal at the Olympics, and I guess that's what everyone that's doing Olympic distance racing in ITU, that's what we're striving towards. So, obviously for her, she achieved what she wanted to achieve, and obviously triathlon wasn't something which I guess she wanted to do anymore. And yeah, I think that it's pretty cool to see a change to running. And I think that it'll be exciting to see what she can do. Obviously, we've had to put up with her incredible run speed for quite a number of years. So it'll be awesome to see a triathlete kind of mixing it up with the runners. And, with Gwen, she doesn't do anything by the half. She'll go all in. And I think that, whether she achieves what she sets out to achieve or not, it doesn't matter right now, because I know that for one thing's for certain, she'll be doing everything she can to try and get there.
Yeah. So your focus is definitely still ITU until Tokyo 2020. After that, do you see yourselves moving into longer distances or something else?
Yeah, I guess for me, especially when I moved to Jamie, that was my goal. I said to him, Tokyo 2020, it's all guns but towards that, and that's my major goal for sure. But after that, to be honest, I really don't know. It's not something I've thought about, but at the moment I guess I could probably see myself maybe going to long course triathlon. I'm not sure about Ironman right now after seeing what Josh had to suffer through this year. Those athletes are incredible, and I'm not sure how they actually do what they do, but I think that I'd probably start obviously with just doing a 70.3 and seeing if I enjoy it. I've never done one before, so that would be the first step. But I think that, I really enjoy time trialing, and the exposure that I've had on a time trial bike and those non-drafting races. There haven't been that many, but obviously Noosa each year, for example, is one, and I've done Escape from Alcatraz, and I've really enjoyed training for that and doing those races. So I think I would like it, but have to see, and I think that it's something I'd like to do.
Yeah, might also mean you can spend some extra time with Josh training together.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We can actually maybe follow a season together doing the same sport, I suppose.
Yeah, and then you'll be gone 1 year after because there's something growing in the belly.
Yeah, we'll see about that, but that's too scary to think about right now. But yeah.
So what do you see as your biggest achievement in your career so far, and what's your biggest disappointment?
Well, I guess I'll start with the disappointment. I guess my biggest disappointment would have to be just Rio, and after that. That was, probably the biggest low of my career. I was, pretty deflated after that. But it seems kind of crazy because obviously getting to the Olympics was also a great achievement of mine. But, that sport. And I guess my biggest achievement, this year has been probably most memorable year. It's coming second in the World Series rankings. Yes, I'd say really up there, and just getting my first win in Montreal was something incredibly special. I remember as a junior, I used to always log on to Triathlon Live and watch the races, even if they were at, pretty early in the morning or late at night. And I just used to love watching, and even, when I was transferring from a junior to a senior, I loved watching all the races, and I kind of initially obviously just wanted to race one, and seeing athletes win them and get their first win, I always used to love seeing that. And to actually achieve that myself at times, I didn't think it would ever be possible, especially with Flora's dominance this year and Gwen's dominance the years before. To finally get that was, probably my biggest achievement.
Yeah, okay. And you can definitely use that disappointment from Rio as a fuel for Tokyo 2020, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, it's definitely the experience that I gained from Rio is just something which I'll definitely tap into before Tokyo. And sometimes it's not just a physical game; it's definitely mental, and you have to be truly prepared when it comes to something like that. It's easy to crumble if you're not prepared properly at a race which only comes around every 4 years. So, definitely fuel to the fire.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for your time, Ashleigh. How can people get in touch with you if they want to?
I've always got email, which I think is on my Instagram account, gentle_ash. And then I'm on Twitter. I've got a Facebook page, which is just Ashleigh Gentle. So pretty much on all forms of social media, and can be contacted through email as well.
Okay, cool. I'll put those links up on the show notes pages. Feel free to give some love to your sponsors and partners.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this year, obviously, it's been great. Yeah, felt bikes, Asics running shoes, driving Subaru, Celebrations, Roka Sports, SRAM and Zip, wheels and componentry. What else? Enduro Sports Nutrition, Oakley sunglasses, and hopefully I've covered that.
All right, cool. I'll put those links up as well. Anything else you want to plug?
Not really, but for anyone listening, thank you for supporting me this year. Thanks to obviously all my sponsors and also the people that follow from afar or support me in whatever way. It's it's very much appreciated, and it's always cool to hear people, I don't know, at races or via social media. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good 218.
All right, cool. One last one to finish off. What's the greatest piece of advice you've ever received in the sport?
Oh gosh, I don't. That's a hard one to finish on. I don't know. I know that people. I can't specifically. Think of something someone said to me, but I know that plenty of times, people have said it's not over till it's over, and I think that feel as though there's a few races this year where I've really that's really resonated with me, and just stuck with it the whole race. And things might not go to plan straight up, but if you don't give up and you keep going, you might be rewarded for that. So yeah, race hard the whole time, and you'll be happy no matter what at the end.
All right, cool. That's a good one to finish on. Thanks for that. All right, thanks for your time, Ashleigh, and yes, it's my regards to Josh.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for having me on the show.
Okay, Junkies, thanks for listening to this episode with Ashleigh Gentle. Make sure you visit the podcast website, junkiepodcast.com, for the show notes page and the complete archives. Because if you want to find out more about Ashleigh's other half, Josh Amberger, you can check out episode 70, because I had a chat with him there after his solo performance in Kona, where he was first out of the water and led the bike race all the way to the start of the climb to Hawi. Alright, thanks again for listening, and I'll hope you'll join me on Wednesday for a chat with another Australian, this time 21-year-old ultra trail runner Lucy Bartholomew. Cheers!